Debashis, I have to start with you because you've just written a book on the globalization of Indian thought. And we've been talking so much about soft skills all morning. So really, what is it about the Indian thought system which helps us to become better managers, become better engineers?
First and foremost, you've got to Indianize Indian thought, because most of us are westernized in the modes of inquiry, in our reflection, in our thought frames. Now, I don't want to give you a theory. I want to give you an example of a person who heads Microsoft, Satya Nadella. And I was having a conversation with somebody who reports to him. And he says, Satya Nadella believes in Buddhist principle of impermanence, and impermanence gives him a sense of compassion. And his product line is based on compassion. He's creating music channels that his autistic son, who passed away unfortunately, is able to use. So I'm just beginning to wonder if the soft skills were not as much part of our upbringing, our growing up. There are three elements of Indian thought that distinguishes itself from the what you might call Western or whatever. First aspect is Indian thought is non-linear. Where do you see in a movie world where after a car chase or a courtroom scene, heroes and heroines break into a dance?
In Switzerland.
Well, and willing suspension of disbelief, which simply means that the thought world coexists with the world of intuition. Analysis has to also deal with imaginative exploration of the context. And so if I have no orientation to soft skills, I'll be blind to many of the aspects of organizational life. You asked this question, why engineers should be managers. I mean, I could ask you the question, why a journalist should be an editor, or a drummer should be an orchestra conductor.
Right.
Because if you think organization, you have to go beyond functional skills. Unfortunately, our education system deconstructs education in terms of subject silos, in terms of hard skills versus soft skills. They are integrated. Engineers are good managers. In fact, outside the IIM, IIT system, I believe there are better engineers than there are in the system, primarily because India is a country that produces natural managers, by the dexterity of... Unfortunately, our formal system can only admit through a test, which only excludes because there is no other way. But I have a sense that if you can get out there and see the natural proclivity of an Indian to be able to multitask. The other thought that just occurred to me as you asked this question is that how would non-linearity translate in the world of innovation? We are moving from an economy of production to economy of innovation, where more of the same doesn't fulfill a purpose. So how do you move into the world of innovation without the softer dimensions, what constitutes human capability, human mind, are unleashed? In the IIM system that I had, this time I made a change in the induction process of students. I said, there'll be no lectures, no formal download of who we are. Let students figure out in the first 3 days as to who we are. And so let them report to us, who do you think we are? And we got a very different version of IMK than we did before. And then we admitted 54% women in 2013. 10 years down the line, it has become more of a norm than an exception in the IIM system. So we see many of the things that we've done as a sort of experiment. Turns out that this was what was needed. The IIM system that has started in 64, 2047, India will have a different set of IIMs. I don't think legacy institutions have a clue that some of the stuff is not working out there, and we are outdated.
Talking about legacy, I think IIT Kharagpur has the oldest legacy among IITs, and you've been in the system, I believe, for 45 years, both as a student and as a teacher. So, I wanted to ask you, because, sometimes these institutions also hit the headlines for the wrong reasons. There's a lot of student disquiet as well, right? I mean, there's a lot of student stress. You deal with young people all the time. What are the issues that are concerning them? What are the issues that are stressing them out? What are the things that bother them?
Yeah, I think we are talking of learning soft skills.
Yeah.
But here the question is something else. Good, I'd like to answer this question. it has to be right from the beginning. You see, the paradigm of learning has completely changed.
Yes.
And while the students who are coming today in the JE, when I appeared JE in 1974, there was 80,000 people appeared. Today,
And how many got in? And how many got in?
about 3,000, 2,700, something
Right.
like that. And today, more than 13 lakh students are appearing for JE mains, and after that, we take about 2.5. In fact, generally 1.75 only appear for JE advanced, and from there we are churning about 16,000 or so. So you can know in this competitive world, there is cutthroat competition. And the aspirations of the parents is one which is very much in the way. Now today, as we see the students when they come across, or in the all IITs for that matter, they are from various background, but they are all toppers in their place. And the parents think that my son, my daughter was topper. Why she is not doing well here? But when they come into this institute, they find that all toppers are there.
Yeah.
And there has to be a stiff competition then. Now, the very fact that the soft skills or the certain other portions of the attributes which are not given to them, I would say right from the beginning of their career, from schooling to this point. What they are taught is just you have to get it either in NEET or you have to get in IIT and things like that. But they are not told that there is something, a human kind, that human behavior, human feeling, human acceptance of certain things which are many times not available to you. I think that is one which should have been taught. And these are the things which come into play, because even a top student, forget about these two students who have taken, I think, recently in this. I'll tell you, a top student was doing very well. Just for the first internship he appeared, and he didn't fare well, whereas a smart street smart person of 7.5 CGPA, whereas this person's CGPA was 8.5, he did not crack. So he feels that, oh, this is the end of life. No, I'm not feeling well, this and I talked to him, what is the problem? He said, no, sir, I got my higher rank, 8.5, and he got just 7.5, and he's in a position to crack. I said, that's not the end of the world. Maybe that the questions which were asked to you, you are not up to mark at that point of time. That's all. But you should take it easy. And
But
therefore,
failure,
the knowledge...
but acceptance of failure has not been taught, sir. That's
Yes,
the problem.
exactly so. And these subjects of science, art subjects are very essential. The soft skills or the way to accept things in life, the way they come sometimes. While it is competitive world, you must definitely work hard for it. But also you should put point certain portion of destiny. At the same time, you should also feel that, well, this is not the end of life.
Right.
I can try again.
So do you see a lot of that, or is it just more or less the same as it was when you were at IIT?
When I was at IIT, we were not thinking of that so much, because the competition was not to that level.
You knew you would get a good job, or
not necessarily. In
Okay.
fact, those times we did not get, so many of students did not get jobs. The jobs
Right.
which are available today were not available at that time.
Right.
And in fact, the jobs which will be available after 5 years are
Yeah.
not known to us as well. Things have changed over a period of time. But at that time, there were a lot of relaxed way of taking things.
right.
We had our classes used to start at 7:30 and that end by 3:40. Now here classes start at 8 o'clock and ends at 6 o'clock, and some of the teachers would like to take classes at 8 to 10 and all that.
So where
this
do
is
the
also
kids?
happening.
Where do the kids have time to develop soft skills?
Exactly. Now even these kids also find that it is easier to have classes at 6 to 8 than having class at 8 o'clock or 7:30 and all that.
It's too
So
early.
so it has to be on both ways. But I think we should not take these as an example and say that, yes, a lot of stress is there. Stress has to be there to some extent so that they will do well. But not to the extent that when these cases are coming up, we are taking that this is across the students. I don't think so.
Right.
Few
right.
cases are coming.
Of course.
Yeah.
But, those have to be flagged, because it's a
true.
symptom
Yes,
of
they need to be flagged, of
something-
course. Yes.
Yeah, it's a symptom of something that is happening there.
Yes. We should not be at all there.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So your role must most of the time be that of a counselor,
Yes, in
a
fact.
psychologist.
Yes, in fact, counsel means there has to be a paradigm shift in the teaching that we
Yeah.
do. The classes that we take at that time. See, sometimes our teachers feel that, no, I have to complete the course
Yeah.
completely. But he must also know that how much the students are trying to pick up out of that course. That philosophy has to also change.
Right.
So there has to be both ways, the teacher and the taught.
Right.
Both have to come into play. Then only this gap will be filled up.
Right. Debashis, your thoughts on that?
No.
The idea of teaching also having to evolve, which is the whole idea of bringing a new curriculum, bringing new courses.
No, I had a experience when I entered a class and I asked a question of a student, have you had breakfast? Rather than have you done your case study?
Right.
It changed the whole context of the conversation.
He must have wondered.
And you wondered what is the new avatar in academic life. But the fact is that that's precisely where learning starts to happen. When you enter first year of teaching, you're essentially teaching a subject that you specialize in.
Right.
Second year, you learn that it is subjects that you're teaching, not subject. And by the third year or fourth year, you know that it's the space between the subject and the subjects that you're inhabiting. And that space has to be constructed, reconstructed,
Right.
deconstructed for new generation of learners. That space is changing dramatically. You know, strange thing, I discovered that our new phase of development in IIM Kozhikode, I thought that the student buildings will have to be constructed, designed by students. And they would do it very differently from the architect who has done the other traditional business schools. So the students are telling me these hostels have to be interconnected. There should be one shared dining room. It should be classified in terms of numbers or names of people. We need to change those models of how an institution is designed based on the future, not on the past. And very strangely, and you see, when it is student-led, even teachers begin to learn that the world has changed dramatically. And it has changed for the better sometimes for the worse. He's talking about content-heavy classes that are dumped on students. There is no reflection time. We said, after every class, IIM Kozhikode has begun to experiment with 32 faculty teaching one course called Money, which simply means that the reflection about teaching the course has to be much greater than downloading it. And then we said, after each class is over, they must be given 15 minutes of time to process. So there's no processing time. And so where is the processing time?
What is the ideal time for a period?
See, ideally...
It's supposed to be 40 minutes?
No, we have classes ranging from 45 to 90.
God.
And sometimes one back...
Are students able to take that kind of...
See, back to back, what happens is they go through a rigmarole. They are paying attendance, but they are not present.
Right.
If you have to choose between attendance and presence, you're losing their presence in the name of attendance.
Right.
We have disbanded the whole system in a way that we think that less is more.
Yeah.
And we recognize that we have to revamp the entire structure. The problem is that we have a very successful legacy of 60 years of IIM's existence. Now, to fight that legacy, when I brought in 54% girl students in the PGP course, I got a flack from my own peer group, because they wouldn't want a successful system to be tampered with. But in order for IITs and IIMs to remain relevant in 2047, we have to deconstruct the system, disrupt it. If you don't disrupt it now, somebody else is going to do it. We will not maintain our supremacy.
Professor, the same question to you, because as you yourself said, IIT Kharagpur has become much more diverse than it was in your time. And dealing with that diversity must be, quite a task. It must be like running a township. How many kids do you have at IIT Kharagpur?
Yeah, we have about 16,790.
It's like running a small town.
Yeah, it's said, in fact, I could say that outside this campus, it's about a campus about 2,100 acres. And there is a good informal economic growth about that campus. More than inside the campus itself, about 26,000 people stay, with faculty, staff, students taking together. And outside, maybe another 50,000 people take around.
And it used to be a detention camp, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. In fact, IIT Kharagpur was started in 1951 and 1946-48 when the whole proposal was started. It was started in the Hijli detention camp.
Yeah.
So the first few years were started in the Sahid Bhavan, which we call today.
Okay.
Yes, and now it has, 1956, the new building came up, which is dedicated to the service of the nation, and our motto is Yoga Karmashu Kaushalam.
Right.
Yes.
So, the question was that this township really that you're running is creating the minds of the future, the people of the future, and the brightest minds in India possibly. So that responsibility, how have the teachers also changed themselves and changed the way they're teaching to meet this future?
Yes, I think this is a good question. See, we do, while taking the teachers, hiring the teachers, we are very tough, particularly because these boys are very brilliant boys, brilliant
And
students.
girls.
Yes, those who have come up, those first years who are getting admitted into the first year of
Yeah.
IITs, they are extremely brilliant fellows. And therefore, at the assistant professor level, when we recruit that the fundamentals of the subjects must be clear to the teacher. Because when they ask questions, you should be able to answer those questions. And similarly, when we give promotions also, we don't call promotions as such. The government will say that it's not promotion, it's a selection. At the
Selection.
associate professor level and
Yeah.
professor. I think we look into those attributes that the teacher has acquired over a period of time of teaching, research, consultancy, industry, as well as maybe the hostel's work if he has done something, because these are the skill sets which will be required for even teaching in the class
Right.
and mentoring the students as well.
Right. And do you still have that bridge course for kids who, do you have something like that for kids who've just come in and perhaps have not been able to adapt, and you give them a little time to sort of catch up? Do you have anything like that?
No, I don't think so. In fact, possibly there used to be something for those students of the category who were not admitted.
Right.
But there is nothing like this. Those who are admitted, I think there is nothing like the gap.
They don't
closing.
have any
No, there
sort
is
of
no problem as such.
learning pangs at the beginning. They're able to
Yeah,
adjust.
there could be, maybe there are some who are coming from background of the language,
Yeah.
particularly English, and those who are coming from Hindi medium or even Marathi medium or Telugu medium. They could be something, but I don't think they require. They will pick up because we have also English
Right.
subject to take in the first
so,
year.
So two things that
Yeah.
kids need to know to get in and to get out.
Yeah. No, in fact, it's tough to get in, but I think the situation is not that bad to get out. We do not have any problem of getting out. Everybody gets out at the right
Getting
time.
out successfully, I mean.
Successfully, of course, successfully. And we have, at least at IIT Kharagpur, I can say that we have more than 90% placement. And this 10% is more because of the postgraduates and their research.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
But
prefer
otherwise,
to stay back.
undergraduates get, yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, at IIT Kharagpur, last 3 years, I can tell you that we have on the first day itself about 1,000 placements.
Wow.
Yes.
So it really pays to work hard to get in.
Yeah, I think my faculty colleagues are doing well, and that's why possibly the results that you can see are there.
Right.
Yes.
So the one skill that you would advise kids who are getting out right now to have?
Well, I would say that the extracurricular activities which we allow, for example, in IIT Kharagpur, we have Spring Fest, Kshitij, and other activities which do the students. These activities are the ones where they learn even more than what they learn in the classes that we give.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think I would always like to tell them that learn from these, because this, see, all engineers are now going to get jobs, particularly in all sorts of managerial skills.
Yeah.
And therefore, soft skills are very important, because the whole landscape of business, or even in the organizations, wherever you are employed, I think they will be employed as, say, managers or engineers and leaders. They definitely require these soft skills. And I think sometimes they will have to have adaptability and flexibility. They will have to manage a team. They must be able to also maneuver people of various kinds, maybe stakeholders,
Diversity,
non-stakeholders who are technocrats, who are non-technocrats, those who do not understand. But you will have, because as a project manager, definitely you should have these skills to tackle to everyone and satisfy and also complete your goals. So
Right.
I think these are very important for the students to learn. And we do emphasize on these
Yeah,
as well.
I know your IIT
And-
literary fests have become very popular.
Yes,
Your
it has
youth
become very
fest.
fast. I think Virasat we had this
Yeah.
year itself, whole day, and whole month of January. And we do have Academy of Leadership which has started. Academy of Classical and Folk Arts. We have, I think, Center of Excellence for Happiness. So,
Happiness?
yes. And students are taking classes because we have, because of the national education policy, we are the first IIT to adopt everything more or less of national education policy.
Who
And we have-
teaches your happiness course?
Yes, but all the students, you know.
Oh.
Yes, and there are
No, I'm
teachers.
saying who teaches it?
We have hired people who are good at talking, particularly with the human skills and all that in
Right.
humanities department. Some people from outside, and sometimes we also hire people, adjunct professors to hire,
Right.
and just talk about these, particularly these aspects of
Yeah.
how to deal with team in a team, how to talk to persons who are also adverse ideas.
Yeah.
Accept that, yes, in democracy, there will be difference of opinion, you must take it. That's those things, and it is working very well, I think.
It sounds like a course I would love to take. Do you allow mature students?
Yeah, why not? If somebody wants to, see, we have also NPTL through which some of the courses are given, and anybody can take those courses. If they're
Right.
there, yes, they can.
Wonderful.
Why not?
Debashis, apart from reading your books, what would you say kids should do to learn how to be good managers?
You know, I'm fond of telling stories. The book you have out there is a bunch of stories. That's called Leadership Chronicles. I'll share with you the latest chronicle that will answer your question. I was at this delayed flight from Mumbai to Ahmedabad. Of course, go to Mumbai and then Mumbai to Ahmedabad. The flight, and we got into the flight at 10 in the night. And I saw, to the dismay of the air hostess, that 30-odd students came up to take a photograph with me at the where I was sitting,
Right.
near the pilots. And so the air hostess was disturbed, but she thought I was some kind of a celebrity. So when they went away, I didn't allow them to take a photograph. They just stood there. And she offered me a special cup of tea and said, "Sir, who are you?" I said, "I'm a teacher, and these were my students." And she was very pleasantly surprised. I wondered why they would come and do this if I was just a teacher doing a technical program. They would come because there are a set of values that got transmitted, even while I was teaching a skill. I think these are the most important elements of the education system, and I'm sure NEP has done due diligence in looking at values. That's a very critical thing. The fact that a teacher loves a student because of the guna, and the word guna has two interpretations. One, it's a quality, set of values, and guna means multiplier effect.
Right.
It is the gunas that multiplies, not just the skill sets. I think India has to, Indian education has to make a mark in the world. India has to look at values as the very basic stance of Indian education that can go global. Our greatest icons, our Buddhas, our Krishnas are known for their gunas, not for their skill sets. All teachers,
Yeah.
not just for their skill sets. Thank you for asking that question, though.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It
Thank
was a
you.
real
Thank you very
pleasure. And I will certainly look that up and try and do a course there. Thank you. Thank you so much.